Let's see what's moving in the market. Super micro, this thing is killing me. A small position, but it's still annoying. 𝗕𝗁𝗡𝗢𝗡𝗢𝗏, some micro cap. Retail opportunity investment, that sounds like a SPAC or something. NVIDIA, Rigetti, Liberty Global, Air Transport, Invista, Darling Ingredients, Inari Medical, that's a medtech, BlackRock Municipal Income, probably an ETF or something. Brookdale Senior Living, up 10%, that's a nursing home. Solar Edge Technologies up 30%, don't know those guys. Recursion, trading a bit. MGIC Investment Corp, some other ETFs, Sensata. Really quiet day, honestly. It looks like low volume day. Outfront Media, Olaplex, Hillman Solutions, Apple, and Grab. When you look at shares, it's not that meaningful because some share prices are very low. So lots of volume on a low share price doesn't really tell you much. This is Gainers. So Solar Edge, don't know this company really. Something called Global Blue Group Holding. Again, don't know it. Some steel company. Axo Health, some realty trust. Appian, not to be confused with AppLovin. One is App, one is AppN. So AppLovin is APP and Appian is APPN. Gig Capital Group, or Gig Capital 7, I'm not sure what that is, but the ticker is GIG. Rayonier Advanced Materials, these are all up 10 to 30%, or 10 to 20% roughly. 𝗵𝗏𝗘𝗏 and Dina, foreign company, don't know them. Mr. Car Wash, MCW, literal public company. 2.5 billion market cap, not tiny. And 𝗕𝗁𝗡. So those are the gainers. The losers, we've got Nexon, which was down yesterday. Bumble, which is down 20%. Celanese, which is down 20%. Torrid Holdings, Supernus, a biotech company we've looked at, down 17%. Foreign energy company, I don't know. Red Hill, down 15%, another biotech. GCL Global Holding, don't know them. Sirius Point. Nexo, Wingstop, that's Rick Ross's company. Gentherm, Concord Medical Services, Alvanos, Masterbrand, Target Hospitality Group. I actually looked at these guys before. It's a very, very unique company. Anglo Gold, Parsons, Harmony Biosciences. Those guys have an interesting drug, down 7%. Etsy, down 7%. So interesting group down today. By value, Berkshire's traded the most pre-market, moved over $1 billion. Everything else is pretty, usually you have more stuff has traded by now. So the amount of money that's actually moved in the pre-market is, looks like fairly small amount. Although it actually looks like that Berkshire trade is from yesterday. So technically Super Micro is number one in this list at 770 million. So no stock has traded $1 billion yet in pre-market. NVIDIA, $500 million. As well as Apple, Tesla a little less, Meta, Lilly a little less, 𝗕𝗁𝗡𝗢𝗓 traded $200 million. Palantir, Intel, we mentioned Inari and Retail Opportunity. Those guys have traded around $100 million or so. And then a lot of just like much smaller volume, mostly under 100 million, which isn't too much for the big stock market. So a little bit of a quiet volume day so far. Could have something to do with it being 9 a.m., not 9:15 or 9:30. Pretty quiet. Quantum computing looks like it's down a little bit after a pretty brutal day yesterday. The sector was down 10% yesterday on no news or anything like that. Although it went up, as we know, went up 10x on no news. So down 10% is just a quick start here. I think we're going to see it. Crypto sort of coming back a little bit. A lot of action in crypto, particularly in the meme coin space. A lot of weird things going on. 𝗕𝗅𝗏𝗍𝗍 has been, really big kind of factor there. The Argentinian case is very unusual. Lots of weird messages coming out there about a young man named Hayden. Now there's already a Hayden in crypto that managed the Uniswap company. So this is a very different Hayden, who is, more of a scammer, it seems. And a lot of people talking about crime and crypto, the kind of personality of the criminals of crypto lately, a little drier than last year or last cycle or 2 years ago when you had Sam Bankman and Do Kwon and, kind of some more interesting characters. Now these guys are, just really kind of like low impact, low interest people. Anyway, that's kind of what's going on today in finance. Our job is to ignore most of that. Our job is to find one or two really good investments to add to your portfolio or my portfolio. And that's really it. You know, you build a great portfolio and you build a great wealth, one investment at a time. And we will do exactly that. Neurocrine's tried to like build drugs outside of INGREZZA, and they kind of struggled. So it's a little cringe because, you know, they have this $2.5 billion drug. It's, you know, really impressive. And it's going to go generic. So it's a bit frustrating. But, you know, they got a little while. 2031 isn't that far away. Although it's funny, every year that ticks by, kind of another year that, you know, you're getting closer to expiry. But, you know, those cash flows are worth around $100 a share. And the current, I'm not doubling down on my SMCI short. I'm just sort of trusting that the vol will bring it back to a price that's reasonable for me. I'm short at $54. And, you know, look at IonQ. I mean, you know, IonQ was $45. So at $33, you know, it's a lot nicer. But at $45, it's pretty painful. You just sort of have to trust that, you know, trust your investment. SMCI might not come down at all, right? There's no guarantee that. It could just be a bad short. You can keep going up. So you have to be ready for that too. Now, if our coin can bounce, I mean, you can't assume these meme coins won't bounce. I mean, if they didn't bounce, nobody would trade them. It's those little bounces that get people some faith and get them excited. Don't send me any coins. Any SPL tokens. I asked for some resumes, and not almost everyone, a whole bunch of people sent me resumes from not in New York, although I explicitly said New York only. And if you can't read New York only, what that means, then there's some interesting biotech outside the US. I don't want someone to move to New York. You know, what are you trying to finesse me? I want somebody who lives here now. You know, you can't just finesse the finesse king, okay? Not for this job. This job is New York only. For a really super candidate, we would consider, for a programmer, we would consider remote. But that's for a programmer. This is not a programming job. Remote work is a fraud. Any of you guys doing remote work out there, let me tell you something. You don't have a real job. That's not a real job. That's a lie. You know, Wall Street is so important to get the orders right, because if you can't get a sandwich order right, how are you going to get a $100 million bond order right? Well, yeah, it's expensive to sponsor H1B. Volume's healthy. More healthy for Rigetti. But no, it's not bad for IonQ. Million shares. Can I visit the office? Listen, man, when I respond to your email, I will give you further instructions on how to proceed. There's European defense stocks. What European defense stocks are there? That's a misnomer. It's a contradiction. White flag manufacturers. That's so cold. We make an incredible assortment of white flags for your surrender, whether you're surrendering to a huge army. So yeah, I was in jail. I remember I made the joke about Hillary Clinton, and then my lawyer's like, man, they're mad about this. I'm like, yeah, so what? Who cares? And he's like, yeah, you know, they're going to try to put you in jail for this. I said, wait, hold up, what? And he was like, yeah, man, they're going to try to put you in jail for this, but don't worry, there's no way you're going to jail, right? There's no way I'm going to jail, right? And he's like, nah, come on. They're just going to give you a little talking to. About 2 hours later, ow, why are you handcuffing me? What about my cat? What about my Verizon bill? I have to pay my Verizon bill. And I asked the lady, I was like, you're talking about 7 years ago, right? I mean, she didn't know. But the reason I didn't pay my Verizon bill, I'm really sorry, Verizon. I got handcuffed. I haven't been home in 7 years, buddy. But you know what? I'll pay that bill. You know, for the tenacity of waiting 7 years to get paid like $500, I got you, dog. I think Musk is being a little courageous to get into politics. It's quite a thing. Most business people try to avoid politics, especially if they're like, you know, they're still rapidly growing their business. So it's definitely not something most people do. Okay, so again, Neurocrine has the their big drug, INGREZZA. That's their flagship. And they've been selling it for 8 years. Most drugs don't get a lot more than that, but they're going to have another 5 or 6 years, and then the generic's coming. So like many drug companies, they need to kind of switch over their portfolio to something else. And it's hard sometimes as a smaller drug company, if you have a huge hit like that to actually find other revenue streams and stuff like that before expiry. And it's very hard to replace a big revenue stream like that. It's their only revenue stream, really. So they have this depression drug, but it's a brand new kind of depression drug, which is probably not a good thing, unless it works. But the AMPA drug, it's a little sus. I don't know that it's, I don't know that they're, let's see here, let me try to make sure I have this right. 845. It's got a name now. 𝗕𝗫𝗓𝗓𝗕𝗓. So generics take everything. Yeah, there's nothing left after generics hit you. Once generics show up, it's over. So then they have the M4 agonist, but that M4 agonist, I think it failed, no? Let me see. Am I thinking of a different company? I think I'm thinking of a different company. That's 𝗕𝗁𝗘. It actually looks, weaker, I guess, than 𝗕𝗁𝗘, but that's that. And then they have an NMDA. They're really all in on M4, I guess. Looks like they are going to try to replace. They discontinue some of these? They may have discontinued some of these. There's 890. All right, well, I'll just go down the list this way. This is an M4 agonist. This is the NMDA drug. I entered it twice, it looks like. So it looks like, they're just doing tons of different M4 agonists, but let's see, mixed agonist, M1 preferring agonist, M4 preferring agonist. So again, this is Bristol Myers' similar to Bristol Myers' new drug. I guess they acquired a company called 𝗥𝗘𝗅, or they acquired the drugs from 𗥥𗘅. It's for tardive dyskinesia. Yeah, it looks like some of these they may have discontinued. These three. Certainly not talking about it in the 10K. How's my quantum doing? It's pretty normal. The fact that these stocks kind of can't rally is pretty bearish. Okay, so we got some sense of the situation with they're doing phase 3s for that drug. Okay, they are doing the NBI 921. Okay, so they terminated these two. Got it. Okay, so they're basically betting on the M4 sector. And M4 is, really an attractive space. I mean, there's not much going on for schizophrenia patients outside of the D2s. So I want to see how 𝗕𝗁𝗘 did its first quarter. But, I think the muscarinic agonists are probably the most exciting thing to happen in psychiatry in a really long time. Maybe next to ketamine. Okay. I haven't looked at aloe too closely. I used to be short it years ago. Citadel owns some Neurocrine, Renaissance AQR, Bellevue. Mostly that's it. I thought there were some hedge funds in the stock. There's 𝗵𝗵𝗇𝗅, Braidwell, Armistice, Deerfield, small. These are relatively small positions. Rock Springs. Not that I care who owns the stock, but sometimes people care, so if that's something you guys care about, you can use HDS on Godel. Yeah, they had one big prominent hedge fund that owned their stock, and I think they cashed out. They were in the stock for a while, for years and years, and I think that the price was the same in general, is what I was trying to say there a second ago. The price was mostly the same, but if you're going to follow other investors and stuff like that, this probably a decent piece of advice is to roll with one investor that's not yourself, that you really, really like, and ideally you talk to them and you have a relationship with them. Well, I don't think we're going to have a big breakthrough then. It's hard to imagine what could work in quantum. Because even if you had a big technical breakthrough, there's no real commercial application for quantum. I mean, that's kind of the core of my thesis. It's not that, these machines will never work. I think they will. But I just know what you're going to do with them. I think the INQ, they already said they had a good fourth quarter INQ, but I don't know how they put out 2025 guidance that excites people. It's going to be tough for them to put out a 2025 number. That's a pretty good strat, Johnny. Yeah, BBAI is hilarious. It's like a fake contract. Quantum computing will be used for encryption or decryption? I don't think you need it for encryption, unless you're talking about like quantum communications. I mean, I don't know. They might. I don't think you're going to see any more breakthroughs, but maybe, because the breakthroughs aren't really breakthroughs. Willow wasn't really a breakthrough. Quantum communication to guarantee there's no eavesdropper on a line, that is a thing. I'm not done with it. I think SLS is going to zero. Earnings season will be interesting for QUBT. QUBT is no revenue, no products, no nothing. Oh, SMCI back down. See? Stock gives you second chances all the time. I like Mark Cohodes, so if he says B. Riley is a scam, then B. Riley is a scam to me. Berkshire for the 21st century looks like Berkshire. There's no difference. You think Warren Buffett's asleep? It's like, that's a sneak diss to Buffett. I'm just saying there's not anything you can do that would make a Berkshire a modern day, like more modern than it is. Like, why would you say it's too good to be true? The 𝗙𝗏 is just a PD-1 like anything else. Yeah, there are people that say VKTX is a fraud, which is hard to parse a little, but I know people have made some arguments on that. Yeah, the share price modern. Carvana will be fun. I don't think Carvana even makes money, right, on the used cars. They mostly do origination, right? Yeah, it might be time to trim HIMS. I find it, I've been patient. Everyone's asked me about HIMS. I've been patient in remaining bullish. It could be time. It could be time. This might be it. This might be the time. This is a good run. It was a great run. People were asking me about that stock when it was 20. I was like, oh, it was pretty good. They're growing pretty fast. It's probably time. I am short a small amount of SMCI. Nothing too crazy. Are they going to actually do their filing? Are they going to make it in time? Did they say? I don't think Sharpe ratio makes investment decisions for you. It just, Sharpe is basically a description of investment results. So Sharpe will tell you what the return versus the volatility. Wow. Yeah, good drop here in IonQ. I love it. I'm loving it. Short some QUBT, short some QBTS. I started a drug company, so I kind of got into private equity more than trading. Yeah, trading's great. I'm just not that good at it compared to long-term investing, and private equity is kind of like the perfect manifestation of long-term investing. I mean, it's pretty obvious these stocks are going to go back down to where they came from, right? But that was also obvious to me 2 months ago. I wish it was more obvious to me. I don't know if what he's doing is a crime or not, but the thing I've learned about crime is that the government's definition is like fairly flexible, right? Like a jury decides what's crime. It's not really, there's no black and white. So there's no rule book where you look up, okay, in the case of a meme coin, if you do this, then you do that, it's a crime. The government just says, we're going to take this to a jury and they're going to find you guilty. And they always do. Like, they literally always find you guilty. The best you could do is maybe get an appeal going, but usually they win those too. If they want to make a case out of it, of course there's a law against rug pulling. It's wire fraud. Laws are so vague. That's not how the law works. You don't look up, like I said, you can't say, oh, there's no law against defrauding somebody selling these scissors. That's not how it works. There's laws in the books. They're very vague in general. Criminal trials are never bench trials. It's like basic law stuff. You never want to waive a jury trial in criminal. I'm not even sure you can. I mean, the judge will find you guilty too. The judge is worse than the jury. The jury, you might have a chance. Yeah, it's fairly rare, Will. I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe in state, not in feds. I'd be impressed if you could find me one federal judge trial that's criminal. Crypto portfolio, yikes. Yeah, I only talking about federal. I mean, criminal, unless, you stab somebody or something like that. Most criminal cases are a little, most state cases are a little sus. No, they can get a jury. There's never really a situation where they can't find a jury. And, it's funny because, they will kind of force the issue on the jury side where it's like, they'll take people even if they're like, oh, I've heard of you, as long as they, say they can stay impartial. Oh, my parents weren't happy, but, it's a lot of emotion, I got the judge tearing up. I had such a good speech. You know, my buddies in jail didn't care. They're like, you're a human being. They all had their own stories. They're just like, I cried when this happened. These are like some of the toughest guys, gangsters and killers. This guy's trying to appeal on selective prosecution. Oh, come on. Failure to obey a lawful order? This isn't a federal case. It's a Class B misdemeanor? This is a state case. But why would they hear this? Why would they hear this in the federal court? Yeah, I was gonna say, this is weird. Misdemeanor. Failure to obey it. What? Ain't no case, bruh? No, I know. All right, listen, I can read. I see it. I got you, bro. I think we're in full agreement. It's a very rare situation, but it can occur. Given that almost every federal judge was a former AUSA, you do not want to be a criminal defendant before only a federal judge. You want a jury in between you and them. They're still going to tell the jury to convict you, but you at least pray that some juror will take it easy on you. Yeah, almost always better to take the plea deal. I went to trial. I wouldn't take a single day if they offered me a plea. In the plea, you have to admit your guilt. It's called allocution. Pick 12, not guilty. Pick 12. That means 12 jurors. Yeah, pick 12. What's up? 6 months, 6 weeks later, guilty on all counts. Yeah, my lawyer wanted me to plea real bad. All lawyers tell you the same thing. I mean, there's no way you can beat them in court. It's a show trial, man. I'll stand on business. Yeah, get ready. Get your best suit. The lawyer's looking at you like you're crazy. I said, get your best suit. We're going to trial. The lawyer's like, oh, man. You're really kind of supposed to take the deal. Because when you take the deal, you can say what you did wrong in the allocution. At trial, the evidence is going to come out. But when you do the allocution, you say, yes, I knowingly, you don't have to name anybody, No, I would have gotten a shorter sentence, Thomas. I probably would have gotten 3 years, maybe 4. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to fight is like, look how silly this system is. Nah, it's nothing to do with prosecutors incentivized to do anything. They could indict a ham sandwich for wire fraud, and they would earn a conviction. The jury immediately in their minds is thinking, there's no way we're here for nothing. This ham sandwich must have did something. No, that's state. State, you can win. State's easy. There's some states where it's 50-50 conviction. The jury is like FBI. They've learned from the movies that, oh my God, FBI. Meanwhile, the FBI is literally the prosecution. Yeah, the prosecutors will get a job at big law one way or another. Yeah, that is totally true, 𝗙𝗢𝗓. My jury was out for 5 days, which is very unusual. That's a very good sign. And on Friday, they came back with a split verdict because they want to come back on Monday. I'm glad my judge didn't punish me for going to trial. Some judges will actually punish you for going to trial. Jurors get paid, yeah. Jurors get paid little stipend, yeah. It's a very small amount, if I recall correctly.